What's up guys, I'm Håkon abroad and I just got back from spending a few days in the amazing city of Granada in Spain. Now this city absolutely blew me away with its rich history, insane viewpoints and everything in general it just had to offer, and I just have to make a video and talk about this place. So anyways, here is my list of some must-do things to do and see while you're visiting Granada in Spain. So anyways, let's get into it. Now let's start off with the main highlight, Alhambra. And although most videos you will watch about Granada will start off with this, there is a reason for it, because it is one of the most impressive attractions and sites in Spain, and it is the most famous place in all of Granada. Now it was originally built back in the 1200s by the Nasrid dynasty, and you can really see this based on the architecture, especially the detailed Islamic design throughout the complex, and especially around the Nasrid palace. And it is a huge area or complex that includes the Alcazaba, which is the old fortress that started this complex, and it also has the famous Nasrid palace with all of its detailed Islamic architecture, and I 100% recommend getting a ticket that includes this. And finally, you also have the Generalife gardens, which are super peaceful with fountains and some amazing views of the city. Now there is a lot to see here, so give yourself at minimum a few hours. Now I actually decided to get the guided tour for this, which meant I learned a lot, and I recommend you do the same if you have the extra money for that. I also mostly chose this since at the time a normal ticket were sold out. And the tour alone ended up taking about 3 hours, but after the tour was done I ended up spending close to another hour and a half or maybe even 2 hours just walking around there. And speaking of the tickets, make sure to book the tickets in advance, because when I was there in the beginning of March, or I guess about a week into March, the tickets for the Alhambra were actually sold out until about mid-April, so about a little over a month in advance. But anyways, heading back into the city centrum, right in the heart of the city, you got the famous Granada Cathedral. Now this is a massive Renaissance-style cathedral built after the Christian reconquest of the city during the Islamic occupation, or I guess after it. And it really shows how important Granada became after that. And this cathedral actually ended up becoming one of my favorite cathedrals in all of southern Spain. It is absolutely incredible, it's so massive and it's just insane and just so incredible, especially with its big white marble pillars and quite a lot more of a brighter or lighter color to it, which makes it very cool. And there also weren't that many people there, which was also just so insane to me. And entrance fee to this is only $8 USD, which is a pretty good deal. Now right next to the cathedral you also have the Royal Chapel. Now this is actually where the Catholic monarchs, Vereda and Isabel, are buried. So it's not just another church, but it's a really important part of, I guess, Granada's and Spain's history. Now I weren't allowed to film within there are some pretty strict rules, especially in this chapel, so I sadly don't have any footage of it. I might see if I can find some stock footage and pull up here, but it was a really cool place to explore. It was a pretty quick stop, but definitely worth a visit. But anyways, once you're done exploring this cathedral, one of the best things you can do in Granada is in general just to explore some of the many amazing neighborhoods there. Now you can start at Plaza Nueva and walk along the Carrera del Darro, which is one of the nicer streets in the city. And it is quite a relaxing one too. Now you will walk by with the river on the right side and you will pass old buildings, small bridges, and along the way you will also have some pretty cool views of the Alhambra. And after a short walk through here you will eventually reach Paseo de los Tristes, which is a really nice, more open area with some great views of the Alhambra from above you. And there's also a small archaeological museum along the way here, so if you want to make a quick stop then you can do that too, and it is free for students, so if you are a student then that is a bonus. But anyways, once you've reached this square, just walk all the way to the end, take your final turn up left, and then walk up towards this old neighborhood. Just walk around, enjoy the views, and just admire the Alhambra from these different viewpoints you might find, and in general just enjoy these beautiful neighborhoods. Now speaking of viewpoints and speaking of this neighborhood, one of the most famous viewpoints in all of Granada is the Mirador de San Nicolás, and this viewpoint is within this neighborhood. Now from this viewpoint you will get the classic views of Alhambra with the mountains behind it. Now I will say it can get pretty busy, especially around sunset time, but the view is 100% worth it, and watching the sunset from around there is just amazing. And just a few minutes away from here you also got Mirador de Santos Isabel Real, which is not just an area for viewing, it's more of like a park area I guess, but it does offer some decent views and it is a cool kind of small park area. Now it's not something I would prioritize over something else, but if you are in the area then you can quickly head over here for some more quieter views of the Alhambra. But anyway, speaking of cool neighborhoods, one neighborhood that you cannot miss out on while you are in Granada is the Sacromonte, and this neighborhood is right next to the Albayzín. Now this is a unique neighborhood known for its white cave houses. Now people actually used to live, and some still do actually, inside these caves that are built into the hills that have been turned into houses. So just walk around and admire some of the viewpoints from here. I'll mention some great ones after this. And there are just so many great views of the Alhambra, and it is just so quiet here. There were so few tourists here, so just walking around felt very special because of how quiet it was and how beautiful it was. Now speaking of this neighborhood, and kind of like a more hidden viewpoint here that is such an amazing one, is the Mirador de la Vereda de Enmedio. Now this is another must check out viewpoint that I found while just walking around. Now this is more of, I guess, a hidden viewpoint. It is pretty much out in the open, and there weren't that many people here beside a few walking by now and then, and the views from here were honestly amazing. And it's a great spot if you want something more quieter and less touristy, and it is a great place to just stop by and chill for a bit and just relax. But anyways, now heading a bit away from the general tourist track, we have the Monasterio de San Jerónimo. Now this is a really beautiful monastery with insanely detailed interiors and a lot more of a quieter atmosphere compared to, for example, the cathedral and other sites we've seen. And I must say, the main church room, or whatever you want to call it, within here really shocked me, because I really wasn't expecting to enter this building and then see this room, especially because there were only a handful of other people there. Seriously, this place was insanely quiet for how beautiful it is. And I must say, this place was just magnificent, and the details, the architecture, everything was just incredible, especially this main room. Now if you want some even higher up views of generally Granada, head up to the San Miguel Alto viewpoint. Now it is a bit of a walk to get up there, but you will be rewarded with maybe one of the best panoramic views of Granada. And it's also way less crowded. Once I got up there, there were only a few other people sitting at the top just enjoying the view. So anyways, just get up to the top, chill for a bit there, admire the views, and once you're ready to leave and go back down, I would recommend you walk down the little grass pathway that's on the west side throughout the tiny paths that are kind of hidden a bit more in the grass, because you will get some amazing views from different angles with basically zero people. Now right outside the cathedral, in this small looking cool street, we have the smaller but interesting stop, Palacio de la Madraza. Now apparently this building used to be an old Islamic school, and it's one of few remaining buildings from that history period in the city. And it's not that long of a visit, but it does add some more depth to Granada's history, and it was just cool to walk around and check it out. But anyways, for number 10 on the list, we're jumping a bit away from the general attractions, and I'm gonna recommend trying some Arabic food. Now if you didn't know, southern Spain was actually under Islamic occupation for quite a while, and because of that, a lot of southern Spain, like for example Granada, has a lot of Islamic history to it, like I mentioned. And it still has a bit of an Arabic feel today, with a lot of Arabic people living there and a lot of Arabic people having restaurants there, which means there are lots of different Arabic food related places that you can try. And a lot of it can also be pretty affordable, and it can also be a nice change from the typical Spanish food that you will probably have eaten throughout your trip. But this was also a great place to just pick up a late night snack, because I for example got a pretty basic box kebab for like €8 I think, and I also ended up getting a pretty decent sized margarita pizza for I think another €9, which is a pretty decent price for a full meal. Now you have a lot of good options here, and some of these restaurants are also just incredibly beautiful too. So yeah, you can sit down somewhere, try some different foods and just enjoy. But anyways guys, that is it for my Granada top 10 and my list of some things to do while you're in Granada. Now Granada was an absolutely incredible city, and I will have to come back here someday to explore it a bit more. But anyways, let me know what your favorite spots in Granada are down in the comments, and anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.